Around the world, more than 780 million people live in extreme poverty on less than $1.90 per person per day, an amount which is impossible to support a healthy livelihood in any part of the world. In South Asia, there are about 216.4 million people living in poverty. According to the Sustainable Development Goal, the number one goal is to end poverty, which is why we want to tackle the topic of poverty in India. India is a developing nation. Although its economy is growing, poverty is still a major challenge. According to the National Family Health Survey, poverty is not only the lack of income, it is a broad definition that encompasses poor health or malnutrition, the unavailability of clean water or electricity, and having little to zero access to education or job options. Most of the affected communities reside in the rural areas in India. They have a higher rate of poverty compared to urban areas, and there is a social structure in India called the caste system, consisting of 4 castes, such as the forward caste, scheduled tribe, and other backward castes. The forward castes hold a higher social status compared to the others, meaning the other castes are more likely to face poverty. Religion is also in the picture as it creates an economic gap between different religions, and in this case, Muslims face the worst poverty rate. So Muslims and people who are not in the forward caste usually receive the short end of the stick.
There's a lot of persecution against us. Mothers and sisters have to endure atrocities from the military junta, where women are not safe there. When our kids walk to school as young as 8 years, the military simply pick them off the streets to work as forced labour.
Based on the statistics given by the NFHS report in 2015 to 2016, the top 3 poorest states in India are Bihar, Jharkhand, and Uttar Pradesh. Bihar has the highest percentage for being multidimensionally poor of 51.91% compared to the other states. There are reasons that contribute to Bihar's high poverty percentage, such as illiteracy and factors of agriculture. Next, the second highest poverty rate is Jharkhand, with a poverty rate of 42.16%. The overall quality of the state's social indicators, for example, enrollment, literacy, child nutrition, and infant mortality fall below the average standard, which proves how critical the situation is in India. The third poorest state is Uttar Pradesh, with a poverty rate as high as 37.79%. Uttar Pradesh is one of the largest states in India where death, poverty, and diseases are very rampant, as a lot of young women in their teens get married. Now, among the 4 castes, FC has the lowest poverty rate, around 3.5%, while the percentage of poverty for OBCs, SCs, and STs is 9.1%, 5.8%, and 2.8% respectively. For Muslims, it is said by the National Council of Applied Economic Research where 31% of Muslims are more likely to live below the poverty line. Muslim communities in India have faced multiple forms of discrimination in employment and education where wealth and political power is out of reach, as they have the highest poverty rate.
स्कूल वगैरह जाते तो हमें पीछे बिठाते थे, इसी वजह से पढ़ाई में नहीं, इसमें सब में हमें पीछे ही रखते थे, मतलब आगे नहीं बढ़ने देते थे। हम कभी सोचते थे हम आगे निकल जाते, हम नहीं निकलने देते। सब बात में हमसे भेद करते थे, खाने पीने में, पढ़ाई लिखाई में, साथी नए वगैरह चेक करने में, सभी उसमें।
Lack of infrastructure. The means of transport and communication have not been properly developed. The road transport is inadequate and the railway is quite less due to lack of proper development of road and rail transport, and also agricultural marketing is defective. Industries do not get power supply and raw materials in time, and finished goods are not properly marketed. Next, lack of education. Education plays an essential role in making a person financially viable, but the poor, due to lack of resources, cannot afford to send their children to schools. Some poor consider education as frivolous. They prefer to send their children to work and contribute to the family's income rather than going to school. Increased rate of rising production. In the last 45 years, the population has increased at the whopping rate of 2.2% per annum. An average of approximately 17 million people are added every year to the population, which raises the demand for consumption goods considerably. Less productivity in agriculture. In agriculture, the productivity level is very low due to subdivided and fragmented holdings, lack of capital, uses of traditional methods of cultivation, illiteracies, and others. Corruption and black money. There are corruptions in every walk of life. There is inefficiency in offices. People have become selfish. They neglect the national interests. Black money causes the problem of rising prices. Some people have all the privileges, but many others are suffering. Black money affects the economic of the country.
A high rate of infant death. India has one of the highest child death rates in the world, with over 1.5 million children dying before their 5th birthday each year. Pneumonia, malaria, diarrheal illness, and chronic malnutrition are the leading causes of the death. Malnutrition. Not even a bowl of rice a day is sufficient. India is at the top country of many people with malnutrition. More than 200 million people, including 61 million children, are malnourished. Child labor. No time for children to play and study. In India, child labor under the age of 14 is illegal, although government data show that 12.5 million children between the ages of 5 and 14 are employed. Furthermore, 65 million youngsters aged 6 to 14 do not attend school and instead work in farms, industries, quarries, private residences, and even prostitution. High violence and crime rate. The occurrence of violence and crime is geographically coincident. Due to unemployment and marginalization, poor people often indulge in wrong practices such as prostitution, theft, and criminal activities such as chain snatching. Exploitation of people in poverty. Poor people live in deplorable conditions, with some members of their families dying of hunger or famine disease. It causes parents to sell their children into slavery or prostitution due to a lack of resources to feed or care for the child. And it occurs when government institutions fail to protect the rights of the poor. This poses a threat to the social fabric.
As we all know, education is one of the best solutions to poverty. Even the most basic education such as reading, writing, and arithmetic can open doors for children that would otherwise be locked tight. But it's more than that. Many experts say that the cycle of poverty simply can't be broken unless children receive education. Provide clean water is important in ensuring children have access to clean water. It's one of World Vision's top solutions to poverty. Safe water close to home can protect children from waterborne diseases and free them. Often dangerous treks to fetch water, this gives them more time to be in school learning. Ensure basic healthcare, affordable, accessible. Basic healthcare is a critical solution to poverty. According to the World Health Organization, about 100 million people are pushed into extreme poverty each year due to out-of-pocket spending on health. Improve childhood nutrition. According to the World Health Organization, eliminating malnutrition is one of the most cost-effective solutions to poverty. The developmental, economic, social, and medical impacts of malnutrition are serious and lasting. It affects individuals as well as their families, communities, and countries. Support environmental programs. Climate change is drastically impacting poverty. In fact, experts agree that any viable solutions to poverty must include environmental programming, not just in poor countries but around the world.
In conclusion, every country has its own struggles with poverty, where a person does not have access to basic needs such as food, education, healthcare, and many more. Furthermore, in order to break the cycle of poverty, organizations such as the United Nations, World Vision, and Global Citizen need to work together in improving people's lives by giving people access to clean water, adequate food, affordable education, and other needs. Here's to hoping for a better world where poverty is non-existent by achieving the first target of the first SDG to eradicate extreme poverty for all people everywhere by 2030.